It's time to transport you to a place that you might visit. In fact, it's a place that you could put on your bucket list at the end of this conversation. We're going to speak about Egypt, the birthplace of one of the oldest civilizations known to man. Let me introduce my guest today. We've got Shruthi Sathyan from Chile Studio joining in. Shruthi, thanks so much for taking the time. What stood out to you? Why did you decide to go to Egypt?
Okay, hi Alex, thanks for having me. So Egypt is a destination that not a lot of people actually choose for a vacation due to various reasons. Because they think that Egypt has nothing to offer other than the Great Pyramids of Giza, or they think there might be a lot of political unrest, or they just don't know how to plan a vacation. So Egypt has been on my bucket list ever since my childhood. And when I got this opportunity, I felt really grateful. And I can't tell you how beautiful this country is and how much it has to offer other than the Great Pyramids of Giza. And not just that, it's super easy to plan a vacation to Egypt. Let me tell you that. And yeah, I'm here to share my experience with you guys today.
Absolutely. How long would you stay in Egypt? What's the ideal time frame that one must spend in Egypt?
Okay, so this really depends. So basically, if you're a person who's visiting Egypt just to, explore a lot of temples, museums, and the pyramids, then an ideal itinerary would be 8 days. But if you're a person who also wants to, explore the extreme north and the coastal cities and experience a little bit of a beach vacation, then maybe 10 to 12 days is doable.
Okay, so we've got the ideal time frame. What are the most prominent places that one can go to? Of course, everyone's heard of Memphis, about the Great Pyramids, about the Sphinxes, but what are the key places that you absolutely must visit?
Right. So basically, Cairo is the capital, and that's where we land. So basically, Cairo is well connected, by the way. So it connects to almost 200 destinations. So I would suggest you take a flight to Cairo. And then from there, you have Alexandria, which is a beautiful city located on, it's a port city on the Mediterranean Sea. And it has a lot of influence of, the European architecture. So if you're someone who enjoys that, then you can definitely visit that. That's at the almost on the north side. But south of Cairo is the River Nile that flows all the way to the south till the city of Aswan. So on the south, I would say Aswan and Luxor. These two are beautiful cities. And something one must definitely experience is the River Nile cruise. So basically, from Cairo, you fly all the way to Aswan, which is the southmost point, and from there you take a cruise and you cruise through the River Nile, and then you reach Luxor, which is again another beautiful city facing the River Nile. So these are some of the cities that I visited and I fell in love. So I would summarize it as Cairo, then of course Giza for the pyramids, and then Aswan to explore beautiful Egyptian temples, and then Luxor, where it's like a mixture of temples and a little bit of the luxury side, like a vacation. So yeah, this will be an ideal itinerary if you're looking for a historical vacation.
Shruthi, you've spoken about some of the key areas to visit in Egypt, and you've spoken about why Egypt stands out as a must-visit location. Let's talk about the costs involved. How expensive would an 8 to 10 day trip to Egypt be, and what are the costs of travel, etc.?
Right. So this depends on what kind of budget trip you're doing. That is, if you're on a low budget or a high budget, but on an average, it would cost around 1 to 1.2 lakhs per person which includes, international to and fro flight tickets that will cost approximately 60,000 rupees. And then we have the domestic flight, which can, cost up to 10 to 15,000. And then the accommodations. If you're looking for five-star accommodations, then, there is no limit. But on an average, you'll be spending around 20 to 30,000 for local accommodation. And yes, also the River Nile cruise, as I said, they have 3-star cruises, 4-star cruises, and 5-star cruises. And even the cruises, it starts off from 15,000 for a 3-night, River Nile cruise, and it can go up to 1 lakh. That is, if you're planning for a 5-star. So I think a comfortable, a good experience vacation can be done within 1 to 1.2 lakhs per person from India.
Okay, that's fantastic. The Nile is something that captures the imagination because, civilizations generally come up alongside these great rivers. So how much time would you normally spend on the Nile?
Oh my God, that's like River Nile is the longest, river in the world. So it's just unbelievable as to, how it's spread over like kilometers to kilometers. As I said, even when you do the River Nile cruise, you can take a 3-night or a 4-night or a 5-night. So you will be cruising all along these 5 nights. So, I mean, it's like if you want the experience can never end. But and I must say that River Nile looks very beautiful from different locations. For example, when you see it from Giza, it looks different. And when you experience it from Luxor, which is also a city that faces River Nile, it looks totally different. And also when you see it from Aswan, it looks very different. So experiencing River Nile itself is a beautiful experience other than the Great Pyramids of Giza.
I'm thinking that you also have to be a little careful about the Nile crocodiles, right? Because they are plentiful on the River Nile. But I want to know also, Shruthi, in terms of what the food is like, what the culture is like, what stood out to you?
Right. So, Alex, because you mentioned about crocodiles, this is something that's very interesting I want to talk about before I talk about the food. So there is this crocodile temple and a crocodile museum in Aswan, which is very, very beautiful. And it is automatically included in your itinerary if you're doing the River Nile cruise, where 20 to 22 crocodiles are mummified, and there are public display, which is one of the most interesting things that you would come across when you do this River Nile cruise. That is because crocodiles were worshipped by the ancient Egyptians, and for them, they feared crocodiles a lot. It was like a very fearful animal for them. So this is something that I wanted to, put across there, which is very interesting to see the actual crocodile mummies on display. Anyway, talking about food. So yeah, I'm a vegetarian. So I automatically, assume that it's going to be really hard for me over there. But let me tell you that if you're a vegetarian, then no need to worry, because Cairo, Giza, Aswan, Luxor, they all have some great Indian restaurants. And not just that, when I was on the River Nile cruise, me and my husband were the only 2 people who were vegetarians, on the cruise. And the minute the chef got to know that we were the only vegetarians, he was extremely sweet to cook a meal that was a vegetarian for both of us. Let me mention a very authentic Egyptian meal, which included a portion of rice and an eggplant curry, which was very, very tasty. So that way, we did not experience any kind of difficulty when it came to food. It's manageable, and to be honest, it's really, really tasty and good.
Okay. What about language? Is that something of a barrier, or can you make yourself understood?
No, language is not at all a problem. So most of them can manage in English, and some of them also talk in Hindi, which I was surprised as well. So Let me tell you that people in Egypt are huge fan of Bollywood, so they really love Indians. And the minute they see you, don't be surprised if they want to take a selfie with you, because they're some of their favorite actors are Shah Rukh Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, Kareena Kapoor, Aishwarya Rai, and the minute they see you, they get so excited. And this is something that actually happened to me at one of the temples in Luxor. So they literally formed a queue and they wanted to take a selfie with me, and that was like, in the beginning it was a little too overwhelming. Then when I understood from where this is coming from, then I kind of understood, and yeah, I was happy to take a selfie with them too. So yeah, they're really sweet.
Oh, that sounds incredible. Um, Speaking a little bit more about the experience that you had, because this is a very old civilization. What are the
Right.
few things in terms of historical references that you should absolutely not miss, Shruti, when you go to when you go to Egypt?
Yes. So the number one would be the Great Pyramids of Giza. That goes without saying, because we have, read that in our textbooks and we've seen it in movies. But let me tell you that the real experience of being there and seeing that magnificent structure right in front of you is definitely an experience one cannot miss for sure. And especially when you know the story behind how it was built, almost 4,500 years ago, when there was no advancements, when there was no technology. Just imagine how much brains they utilized, to transport every single stone across the River Nile and to build such a huge structure. So that's something that definitely has to be on your itinerary. And of course, the River Nile cruise. I mean, who would not want to, cruise on the River Nile, which is the longest river?
Absolutely. You've painted a lovely picture, and I can't wait to see Egypt now. I've read a lot about Egypt and the culture and the civilization, and I think this is one culture, Shruti, that has as many gods as we do here in India. But pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you so much for having me.